Hello, my name is Maggie Sholtis, and I grew up in Lawrence Park. I'm here to talk about my uncle, Johnnie Cunningham, who was known as the unofficial mayor of Lawrence Park. His father, Matthew, had found work at the GE in construction, and the two of them lived at the Park Hotel, which is right on Main Street, and I had actually never heard of that before, but it then evolved into being the Union Hall right on Main Street, and I think it's Rankin Avenue. Johnnie wanted to find work himself, and he grew to love the community, saw that there were some areas that he could fit in. He bought a truck, and he started picking up trash. Johnnie was a very social fellow. His sister introduced him to a woman who lived close to the family, Blanche Archer, and they married in 1926. Johnnie was also busy delivering coal and wood to the homes in Lawrence Park, and also ice. Most of the family still had old oak ice boxes in their homes. So he got to know the community and all of the families very, very well. So he also knew whose coal bins were full and whose were not. And I think he just kept all that in his mind so that he would be able to help people if they needed it. So he had established himself. He was well known in the community, and he thought about some social activities. He was a social guy. He loved humor. He loved to laugh. He loved to dance, and so he organized some dances for adults in the community on the second floor of a building on Main Street. He then wanted to find some activities for kids, and so he organized games and sports. In the early 30s, I don't know exactly how he thought of this, but he decided to build an ice skating rink. Ice skating must have been very popular in those days. He knew some property that would be perfect. It was actually close to his home on Smithson Avenue. He rented the property for $2 a year from some old fellow named Jim Sherwin. He cleared the property. He flooded the property. He dammed up a small creek that ran down there. And people loved it. People came from, not just Lawrence Park, but from other small communities. He fenced the area in, and he provided benches for people to sit and change their skates. He had a couple large burn barrels. Apparently, it was a great place. It was a great pastime. Well, the Depression was a difficult time for most folks. Cold houses, hunger, illness. And Johnnie knew those families that were suffering more than others. And I think he was loved by many people. He was a gregarious, friendly fellow. People knew him, people trusted him, and he was encouraged by his mom to expand that type of activity, and somehow he found clothes and boots and blankets. And when he was asked about that, where he got those, he just said, well, some of my family and friends won't miss these things. So there was a blizzard in 1944, and apparently it was quite the blizzard. People were having difficulty getting to school, to work, to the streetcar, and he at that time plowed the streets. He had acquired a contract with the township to then maintain the township as best he could. His sister, Helen, had a baby that year in December of 1944, and she was in the hospital downtown Erie with no way to get home. Streets were impassable. So Johnnie drove his huge truck with a snowplow, to the hospital and picked her up. Apparently there were many women stuck there who wondered how much he would take to drive them home. So in the early 50s, sadly, Johnnie suffered many strokes, and in June of 1952, he died. His son, for a short time, took over his trucking business, and it eventually fell to a Lawrence Park person, Mr. Boydie, who continued that for quite a while. There was an area of Lawrence Park that was being developed, and the township felt that it would be appropriate to name this street after Johnnie for all of his contributions through the years. So there's now a Cunningham Drive. It runs from Emmett to East Lake Road, very close to where the pond was that he had developed. And this November, he's going to be inducted into the Legends of Iroquois, recognized as a great contributor to the Lawrence Park community.